In this video, I'm going to do Chapter 6, Tutorial 1. There's a little picture of it for you, and we're just going to walk through. So the first thing I'm going to do is tackle that Y-shaped piece. That happens to be most of those dimensions there are in the front view. So I'm going to go ahead and work on that for the first step. So I've got my part file in millimeter seconds, and I'm going to go ahead and do the sketch on the front plane, and I'm going to tackle that Y-shaped view in the front plane first. So that's where I'm going to get started. So now you'll see I have a fully defined sketch. So that's where we want to be with our fully defined sketch. So next what I'm going to do is take those parts and pieces that I have now and start to extrude them a little bit now that I've got my flat shape. So I'm going to exit my sketch, and I can come over to the Features tab and then choose Extrude Boss Base. So it needs to know which parts I want to extrude. So I need to look at this piece first and figure out what I'm going to tackle first. I'm going to do the Y-shaped part. So I'm going to click those parts and pieces there that create that. Let's look at it. Looks much better. Okay, so I'm going to go back into that edit feature and edit the Boss Extrude, and so you guys can see what my different options are. So you have to understand where my sketch plane is. My sketch plane, I started drawing on the front plane. So if we look up here, you can see where all those planes exist out in space. Well, I told it to go in a blind direction, but when I look at my drawing, maybe what I really want to do, because I've got to come in a second and bring in, go back for a second so we can see these pieces right in here. I'm going to have to draw those, and those are going to extrude a little bit differently. And I've got this Y shape here that I'm working on now, and then I've got that placed down at the bottom. So maybe my better option, rather than a blind extrude, is to do a mid-plane extrude and tell it to go so far in each direction of the plane. So if you look at that Y shape, you can see its dimension and how far it is extruded by looking back at your drawing here. So I'm talking about this Y piece right here. When we look at that in our top view and in our right side view, how deep is that Y shape? So this shape up here. So when we look at our top, front, and right side view, which dimensions are we talking about? What are we looking at? And that's what we need to think about. So you can see up here in the top view, it tells us that this distance right here is really 40. So when we go back to SolidWorks, we need to change our extrude distance to 40. Okay, and what it's doing is it's taking the sketch, and you can see it up here in blue. That's our plane that we started to draw on, and it's putting half of that 40 value behind and half in front, which was what we want to do, because when we come to extrude these little pieces down here on the side, we need to make sure that everything's nice and centered up. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that. Okay, and so you see our sketch is there, and if we want to show the sketch, you can click this button right here, the eyeball button, to be able to turn it on. So we might want to go ahead and do that so we can see the rest of that sketch. And you can see that that sketch lives there in the middle of our Extruded Boss Base feature. Alright, so I'm going to go to Extrude Boss Base. Actually, before I click that, I'm going to click on Sketch 1 and go ahead and highlight the sketch. Now I'm going to do Extrude Boss Base, and I'm going to click there, and since this one's going to have the same dimension, I'm going to click over here as well. So you can see we're talking about those triangular shaped pieces there, those angled pieces. Now for this one, I also need to have it as mid-plane, and if we look back at our drawing, you'll see its depth is 8, so that's going to be my extrusion depth there of 8 units. Okay, so we're getting closer. Okay, we've got that sketch still lives there on the front plane, and we've put a mid-plane extrusion to it. So I'm going to do one more Extrude Boss Base. I'm going to highlight the sketch first over on the left, so I've got it selected, and then choose Extrude Boss Base, and now we're going to do the bottom feature here. So I'm going to click down there twice. It's going to be a mid-plane as well. And if you look out here, the overall distance is 52. And so now you'll see we have a finished product. So now if we want to take this sketch and turn it off, we can hit the little hide button over here, and now our model matches what's there.